Je ne suis pas ton bonbon. Ton bonbon, ton bonbon. Who else? Bill on the beat.
We are going to start as usual by protecting the area we're going to be working with because you do not want that color staining anything. We'll be using 40 volume developer as stated in the instructions, and this is the color we're going to be using. It is copper and the brand is L'Oreal HiColor HiLights. I'm going to be adding some soft brown to tone down the copper color because the copper color is just too bright. It is blinding. So that's what the brown is for. And these are the tools I'm going to be using. So I'm going to mix them in a proportion 2:1. 2 copper and 1 brown. So each copper is 1.2 ounces. So I'm going to use 2 tubes of those. And then I'm going to use 1 part of the soft brown color to tone it down. I'll explain better.
Oh Lord have mercy. Mouth the draw like okra. My phone the pass like box. Mouth the draw like okra. I say mouth the draw like okra. My phone the pass like box. Ton discours ne me flatte pas. Tu me rappes pas comme ça oh. Ah ouais. Molène oh. Ah ouais. Où connaît ta tôt.
The mixing ratio is 2:1, meaning for every 1 ounce of color, I'm going to add 2 ounces of developer. However, each color was 1.2 ounces for the copper. So I have 1.2 of copper, another 1.2 of copper, and then the brown was 1 ounce. So 1.2 of copper, 1.2 of copper plus 1 ounce of brown. Right? So that makes 3.4 ounces of color. We're going to double that to get the amount of developer. So let's see. 3.4 times 2, that is 6.8, almost 7.
Tu me rappes pas comme ça oh. Ah ouais. Molène oh. Ah ouais. Où connaît ta tôt. Ah ouais. Non, 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 non. Je ne suis pas ton bonbon. Non, 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 non. Ton bonbon. Je ne suis pas ton bonbon.
For this wig, I'm going to be using 2 bundles of hair and a frontal. It's a 12-inch and a 14-inch. This is the frontal. The frontal is 12 inches. So I've already bleached the knots and I have already tinted the lace to match my skin tone. Well, kinda. It looks close to me, right? Yeah, so I've already done that with the frontal. And I'm going to go ahead and apply the color inside aluminum foil. Since I'm going to wrap it in foil, I just apply it on top of the foil. And you've probably seen this in my previous video. I just apply the color very randomly from the tips down to the roots. And if you look at my left hand, you can see me spreading the hair apart so that the color gets all the way inside. So I use my fingers to spread it so that it goes inside, because there's a tendency for the insides to stay dry while you apply the color just on the outside. So you have to be cautious when you're doing it.
Tu t'agites à ta cour comme un DJ. Pourquoi tu t'agites? Tu me bombardes des messages, me bombardes des messages tous les jours. Facebook.
For the frontal, we're going to do pretty much the same thing, well, almost the same thing. The only difference is we have to be careful not to apply color to the lace. So I apply the same way from the tips down to the roots. And I want dark roots, so I'm not going to put color, or I'm not going to put that much color when I go towards the roots. I just use my brush and light strokes to apply it around the roots, and I avoid some hair so that the roots stay dark. And I try to saturate those tips. One thing with the frontal is you have to be careful not to apply color to the lace. And I do this by working in a small section at a time. I partition the hair. You can see me cutting off about an inch of hair. and I go ahead and apply the color all the way to the roots, and I leave the roots black. As you can see, I successfully prevented color from touching the lace, and that is exactly what we want because nobody has a red scalp, right? So the frontal is ready to go in the foil. If you color hair, you would know that hair processes faster if it is in a warm place. So since it's winter, the only warm places in my house are, one of them, the air vent on the floor. This is where the hot air comes out to heat the house, well, the warm air. And the next tip to keeping your hair that's coloring warm is a heated bulb. I got this bulb from Lowe's. That's just a basket I put the hair in. So this bulb produces heat specifically, and it has a clamp, so I use that clamp and I clamp it. This is my laundry room actually, or my laundry closet. I clamp it there and I put the hair bundle in the basket and I turn it on. Sometimes the heat is a lot, so I can go back after 5 minutes and turn it off, but basically it's just to get it jump started because sometimes this color does not really show up if it's not warm. The next tip would be a stove top. You have to be very careful. Turn it on for 4 or 5 seconds max. You have to be able to touch it. It has to just be a little bit warm, and that's it. So while it's warm, you can place your hair extensions on there and let it process. We are not looking for anything hot. We are looking just for very, very slight warmth, okay? Very slight warmth. That's it. So I let this process for 2.5 hours with the stove off. The stove was off. The instructions say to let it process for 45 minutes, but trust me, you're gonna need at least 2.5 hours. This one I let process for 2.5 hours, and that's the color that came out, which is gorgeous. So I'm gonna wash it with shampoo. I am not picky when it comes to shampoo. Suave is an affordable brand. I use Suave, I use Aussie, I use, what's it called, Tresemme. I just use whatever. Girl, I go to the salon and I buy whatever is on sale. I'm just say that. Yeah, I am not picky at all. So I wash it with whatever shampoo I have, but I prefer a moisturizing shampoo. Wash it with shampoo, apply some conditioner, and just let it sit. Since it's color treated hair, let it sit in a grocery bag or whatever you want to use. I use a grocery bag, I don't care. Recycle, okay? So that is the frontal. Now we have to make the wig.
Oui, allô? 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 Bah écoute, chérie, c'est la 60e fois que je t'appelle. Franchement, c'est dans mon message. Rappelle-moi quoi. Et n'oublie pas que...
I'm not really gonna go into great detail in the wig making part because this is actually a hair color tutorial, not a wig making tutorial. So I'm just gonna rush through the wig making part. But basically I now make my wigs on a sewing machine, and to do that I need to put these markings, the lines on which I'm gonna sew. So I put those markings, but like I said, I'm not gonna go into detail. My purpose for this tutorial was to make a Halloween themed wig that resembled the color of a pumpkin without being too pumpkin-y. Is that even a word? Yeah, but that was my purpose. Something kind of orange but wearable, not something you can wear, something you're just gonna wear on Halloween and that's it. So that was my purpose, to create a color that was close to the color of a pumpkin but still wearable on a normal day without you looking crazy. So yeah, that was my purpose. So this is my sewing machine. I'm going to make the wig and I will just let you watch.
Je t'aime.
Goodbye. Je ne suis pas ton bonbon. Non, 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 non.
This is one and only argan oil. You can get it from Sally Beauty. I also sell it in Yaoundé. Hi, customers in Yaoundé. And this is the Tamana styling rod that I use. I'm going to show you guys how I create the curls. It is really easy. And I think that curling wand is an inch, maybe an inch and a quarter, maybe, I forget. Anyway, you wrap the hair around the wand away from the face, and you hold it in place for about 5 seconds, 7 maybe. Normally I should be wearing a glove, but I've just been burned too many times. I know how to avoid the hot wine by now. So you hold it and you let it go, and your curl is formed right there. It is so easy. And before I started, I applied a small amount of the argan oil on it, and that's all I use to curl hair, just that argan oil. It is so good. You can see the hair as a luster. I'm gonna do another one. You just wrap it around, hold it in place for 5, maybe 7 seconds. Hold it steady, and when you're done, hold it in your hand to cool down for a little bit so that the curl is preserved. So I hold it in my hand. Trust me, it's really hot, but I'm so used to it. It doesn't burn me anymore. And there we have our curl. So guys, I try to do a pumpkin lip. Don't even laugh, okay? Do you like it?
Je ne suis pas ton bonbon. Non, 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 non. Ton bonbon. Je ne suis pas ton bonbon. Non, 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 non.
The wigs I make can be worn glueless, meaning it stays in place using just the elastic band that I apply to it. So this makes it really good if you are new to frontals. A lot of frontals require you to use glue, but the ones I make, you do not really need glue. However, you would probably need some gel. You see that side tab I'm holding? It has a tendency to stick out. So even if a wig is glueless, sometimes, like I mentioned, that side tab is a little bit stubborn, so you would always have to hold it down with something. And you don't have to use glue, you can use gel. With this wig, I'm just gonna use gel. So I'm gonna do my baby hairs. I am not so good at this part, the baby hair part. I'm not so good at that, but I try. So I'm gonna do some baby hairs, and then I'm just gonna lay down the baby hairs on those side tabs, and that's gonna hold it down. So that's the kind of wig I make, and you can follow me on social media in the description box and learn how to place an order.
Tu t'agites, à la cour comme un DJ. Pourquoi tu t'agites? Tu me bombardes des messages, tous les jours. Facebook, Instagram, tu m'étouffes avec tes likes. Tu me rappes pas comme ça, oh. Ah ouais, malano, ah ouais, où connaît ta to, ah ouais. Tu me rappes pas comme ça, oh. Ah ouais, malano, ah ouais, où connaît ta to, ah ouais. Je ne suis pas ton bonbon. Non, 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 non. Ton bonbon. Je ne suis pas ton bonbon. Non, 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 non. Ton bonbon. Ton bonbon, ton bonbon.
Oui, allô? 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 Bah écoute, chérie, c'est la 60e fois que je t'appelle. Franchement, si t'as mon message, rappelle-moi quoi. Et n'oublie pas que je t'aime.